No matter how you travel, it's good to have a plan. Some people plan every minute. No sleep, bus, museum, another museum. While others only plan to take it day by day. When it comes to your finances, a plan is just as important. You can count on Credit Karma to give you the insights you need to understand your options so you can take charge of your financial path and find your way to money. Explore how you can make financial progress with confidence today. Intuit Credit Karma. Karma you can count on.
So, hi, Jordy. It's nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me here. I'm very excited. I was telling Kale, I was like, this must be how Kelly Clarkson felt when she won American Idol.
Oh, damn. You're putting it way up there. Dang, okay.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Sweet. Living large now.
I know. I appreciate it. So I'm excited to be here.
Well, I know that you and Ty met just a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I've never even seen you or anything until all this stuff happened. But so I was like, oh, that'll be nice just to talk, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know. I don't even think you watched the live that we did.
No, I did not. No.
You were doing a live with somebody else at
Probably.
that day, I think.
Probably with Ray.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it happened really fast. I just messaged you and was like, hey, jump on a live. And you're like, yeah, give me 15 minutes.
I know. I was like, oh my God, I'm not prepared.
But it was good.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was good. I mean, I felt like we had a good conversation. It was pretty civil, you know. I mean, I felt like, you know, we got a little more information. You got some more context.
Yep.
Okay, I wanted to ask you, though, what did you, after we had our conversation, did anybody reach out to you as far as, like, adopted people on TikTok? Did anybody, like, because I know TikTok's, like, your big, that's, like, where all your followers are, right? How many do you have? Like, where are you at now?
Oh my God, almost 600,000.
Damn, okay, half a mil.
How did you even get started on TikTok? Like, what made you think?
So I discovered that Hillary Duff and her sister were beefing.
Oh, okay.
Just social media sleuth that I am. And it kind of blew up, my first video ever, and then it just kind of went on from there.
Oh, okay.
But I consider myself a teen mom historian. So I wanted to show, you know, different sides of my personality and, you know, things that I enjoy. So when I started talking about teen mom, that kind of blew up too, because I, you know, have a lot of opinions.
Oh, yeah.
So,
that's why you're here.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody does.
No, yeah, especially on TikTok. I mean, people got a lot of opinions on Teen Mom. I feel like,
yes,
because TikTok wasn't around when Teen Mom first started.
No.
So now MySpace was still around.
So now
we're around
that
the same
TikTok's
age.
here, it's like now people are going back, I feel like, and watching from the beginning, and we have a whole new, like, almost new generation of watchers that are like didn't know anything, and now they're all getting, you know, opinions. So I mean, you got a lot to say.
They are.
So it's like,
100%.
But yeah, I thought it was interesting though, because I was like, wow, like your perception of it is that we, you know, like talking about Carly or our adoption story was, you were like, you don't think it's a good idea to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I would love, I want to hear your opinion.
No, it's fine. So I was just having a hard time wrapping my mind around, I know that there's contention between, you know, Brandon and Teresa, and there has been for quite some time. But venting on social media, I felt like hurt your guys' cause, because we know some of the Teen Mom fans are crazy. I mean, I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy. But it gets them all riled up, and then they start, you know, now we know like everybody's involved now. So I feel like it just causes a bigger issue and would piss off Brandon and Teresa even more.
And so when you say, like, you think that it creates a bigger issue, in what sense do you mean? Like,
because everybody's involved. Everybody has, like, opinions now. Everybody, you know, more backlash for you guys, more backlash for Brandon and Teresa. And it's, I don't know, I feel like, although it's a private matter, you guys live your life in public,
right.
So I don't know if anything's really private.
No.
So that's what's kind of, like, difficult about it.
Yeah.
And I know something that you probably brought up, and we can talk about this too, because I'm a child of addicts too, and I know that you are too. And I had said something that I think that you two have inherited certain traits from your parents that were like, if you don't get your way, you can use that to like manipulate situations or like, you know, try to like get back at people. You know what I mean?
In like a vindictive way, or So your opinion is that you are saying that we like, okay. So
what you said was like we manipulate to get sympathy.
That's what you said. And so I want you to elaborate on why you believe that is.
Because I never really understood what the point of it was, except to get sympathy and to try and get people to get on your side of things.
Okay,
so you feel like we're recruiting people to get on our side.
Like from an outside perspective, looking into like our story, I can see where you would think that, and I understand that, that thought on that. But I think our main goal for putting stuff out publicly was because if Carly has a chance of being able to see that we never stopped trying, she deserves to know that, in my opinion. Also, it is bringing awareness to everybody that is involved in adoption. It's bringing awareness to adoptive parents that, stuff like this happens, birth parents, and also it's giving a voice for adopted kids. The adoptees.
Which is the main thing. The adoptees need.
But I can see where you would think that.
I have a question. Do you believe that other people on the cast manipulate to get sympathy or to recruit people to get on their sides?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I feel like
Absolutely.
So where do we cross the line with sharing our story on a reality TV show as people, or then it turns into manipulation for sympathy?
You asked, where'd you cross the line?
Where's the line? Where does the line of I'm just, a reality TV person, whatever, that sharing my story, have been doing it for 15 years. Where does the line cross from just sharing our story, being vulnerable, honest, to manipulation to get sympathy or recruit people to be on our side?
I mean, that's a good question. I just, when I talked to you on Instagram, you said that you didn't even care if Brandon and Teresa got upset about this kind of thing. And what I still struggle with is that Carly's going to see all of this anyway. Like when she's 18 and watches the show, hopefully, in college, wherever she goes. So even though you're venting and stuff on social media, which, by the way, you guys have every right to do.
Well, because you do the same thing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, so she's going to see it anyway. So do you think that you putting it on social media is going to annoy her or drive her away even more?
I mean, we don't know, obviously, because, they have completely cut us off, blocked me. It's now she's telling us that we're not allowed to even send gifts to the house anymore.
When they say that?
This was a few months ago.
Yeah, a few months ago.
Yeah, while everything is...
Before the block?
No, after the block.
No, this is after the block.
Oh, wait, spill that. What happened?
Yes, so I want to give you a little bit of backstory
Yes,
here.
please do.
Okay. So what happened is there's Carly, but they also have another adopted child. Okay. And so me and that birth mom, she lives in Michigan. She has, kids she's raising and stuff. Me and her talk. And we're pretty close because we share that bond. It all started with it's hard, it gets confusing, but Carly's, her brother's birth mom reached out to me and said, hey, do you think we're getting a visit this year? The kids are getting older, has Teresa said anything to you? And I said, no, but I can start a group text and we can ask her, So that's what we did. And so we sent a text in this group chat and I just said, hey, we would love to try to get together this summer. We'd be more than willing to come to North Carolina and even meet up just for dinner one day. And after I said that to her, she ghosts me for weeks, which this is typical of Teresa. I can message Carly and I can message Teresa and say, hey, how is Carly in school? Is she liking it? Not hear anything for weeks.
So it's not really a shocker. It's not nothing new.
So that always happens. And then, so days go by, a week goes by, and then the birth mom messages me, hey, has she said anything? No. So I reach out again, hey, just checking in on this, wondering if you and Brandon had the time to talk about it. And she was just like, I know it's disappointing, but no, we're not planning to have a visit this year. And I said, it's disappointing just because of all the kids, my kids are getting older. They know Carly. They know that's her sister. The other birth mom's kids, same thing. They know that their brother is out there and they ask questions. I said, so it sucks that, we can't even meet up just for a dinner, Right. And then Teresa was like, yeah, I understand, whatever, but just know that we love and we care about you guys so much. And
she also said no to the dinner because we were like, oh, we'll come to you. We'll make it really easy. I know you're busy with the kids, and if that's a problem, then we'll just come to you and make it meet up at a restaurant for an hour dinner. Make it simple, not like a long weekend-long visit like we usually have.
That's typically how they are. Yeah. And then she got upset with me because I said, it doesn't feel like love. Like people that I truly love and I care about that are involved in my life. I make time for those people. Even if it's just an hour, like I want to spend time with the people that I love and I care about. Mm-hmm. So she got upset with me that I said that. And then you fast forward a few weeks and it was like Carly's birthday. So of course I'm like, hey, I texted Teresa like, hey, I sent Carly gifts. Please let me know if she gets them. And she answered me on that day, but even a few days after her birthday, I checked in again and it was like, she never responds. Weeks go by, then I check in again, no response. And I'm like, okay, what's going on?
Does she like our gifts?
Right, or whatever. Yeah. And then she just came back with like, the way that you speak about us isn't nice and we're not going to be responding for a while. Which kind of blew mine in a little bit because I was like, you can watch everything that I've shown on this journey and I have never called them out of their names. Mm-hmm. I have never said that they were shitty ass parents weren't doing a good job raising my child because I believe all those things. Yeah. I believe that they do. She's an amazing, well-rounded kid because of them, Mm-hmm. And so when she said that, my response to her was basically like, I get that. I get that if your feelings are hurt, and my feelings are hurt too. And when you want to have a conversation about that, I'm here for it, and we should have that conversation. And I told her, I said, but, until then, I'm going to continue to send gifts to Carly like I always have, and I'm going to continue to send updates like I always have. And so that's why when people online said, like, oh, my God, Caitlin's just blowing her up all the time, it was like, no, all those messages were from after I got that text from her and me telling Teresa, like, okay, I get it, but I'm going to send updates. And they were like once.
Directed to Carly, not,
every other week. And one of the main reasons why I decided to do that also was because I had a lot of adoptees and birth parents reaching out to me and saying, don't ever stop. One day she is going to see all of those things that you tried to give her and show her and all of the things. And so I continued to do that. Then I found out she blocked me. And I found that out through our adoption counselor, Dawn. Mm-hmm. And I was still sending gifts every once in a while, or whatever. For her birthday, I sent her crumble cookies because teens love crumble cookies. I don't know what it is.
I hate them.
Do you?
Yeah, I had them for the first time a couple months ago. Trash.
Really?
It's disgusting. Yeah.
Which one did you have? Because I like the chocolate chip. What? You don't like the chocolate chip?
It was too heavy. It was like heavy. I could have knocked my husband out with it. Like it was just ridiculous. I'm like, what is this cookie?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. You're fine. You're totally fine.
Crumble.
Vacation season is nearly upon us, and I literally cannot wait. This year, I'm treating myself to luxe upgrades that I deserve with Quince's high-quality travel essentials at fair prices. Like lightweight European linen styles from $30, washable silk tops, and comfy lounge sets. I love those. With premium luggage options and stylish tote bags to carry it all. The best part? All Quince items are priced to 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. I love that. I recently got the Italian pebbled leather sling bag from Quince. It's super durable and stylish and functional. I really love that you can wear it in multiple ways, like as a crossbody or on your waist. It also can hold a lot of things without looking bulky, which I love, especially being a mom. I can fit diapers, snacks, all the goods. And this bag is going to be perfect for summer vacation. For your next trip, treat yourself to the luxe upgrades you deserve from Quince. Go to quince.com/breakitdown for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/breakitdown to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/breakitdown. So then, so I obviously unblocked from her phone number still. And so I sent Carly, I sent her some flowers and it had like a note on it. And so I asked Dawn, can you reach out to Teresa? I just want to make sure that they got there. And then she came back to Teresa and said, you know, you can tell Kate and Ty this, but they're no longer allowed to send gifts to our house. It is disrespectful. And that really took me and Ty back because
we never thought. I mean, gifts are gifts.
So not even gifts.
Like
No.
I feel like honestly, I would accept a gift from anyone for my kid. How am I going to stop and withhold an expression of love to the child when it's been happening for 15 years, especially? But even just like anyone can give my kid a gift, and I'm like, awesome, that's great.
Right.
You know,
my kid's
so
gonna love it.
Yeah, who doesn't love a gift?
Yeah, it's a gift. So we never thought like, okay, we get you're upset and you don't want to talk about anything, and that's fine. But not to send gifts, and also not to send gifts when it's been a thing for 15 years. It's all Carly's ever known. So how do you explain to the child now?
All of a sudden, the gifts stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I since I can't talk to Carly and tell her that, how are you doing that, and what? You know, we have no say so in how she gets that information about not getting gifts. Like
She watches the show.
I mean,
no,
that's
they keep her from it.
Well, when she's 18, I mean.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
right. Yeah. I thought you meant right now.
Yeah.
Sorry. So, I mean, so it was just the whole gift thing. And the thing that, yeah, like how Ty said about, I don't understand why you would stop gifts, especially after 15 years. One of my things also, too, is like I sat there as a child, a literal child.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my main thing that I said to her and Brandon was like, I don't, you know, above everything else,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be able to send her birthday gifts and send her Christmas gifts and Easter. I remember telling him I will send everything for any holiday just because I want her to know that she is loved by us and that we haven't forgotten about her. So,
and they agreed. They're totally on board. They were.
yeah, so I think there's a lot of underneath going on, and I know a lot of people say that we are exploiting Carly or posting stuff when we were asked not to, and part of this podcast is to also get my part out of that's not all factual. There's a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, because the fact of the matter is, we even asked before being blocked. Like, we just want to know if what we're doing is harming Carly or
Yeah,
not.
is it
her? Is she saying, "Hey, I don't want to see pictures of
Yeah.
my sisters. It's hurting
It's
me,"
hard.
or "I don't want to get gifts"? And Teresa responded.
No, she just ignored me.
Well, no, she told
ignored.
Dawn, "We haven't answered that question, but you're forbidden to tell Tyler and Caitlin what that answer is." And so my thing is that listen,
If it was Carly and you're the parent,
you should advocate for your child and tell us, "Hey, you're hurting my kid. Please stop."
Right.
So the fact that you're not willing to do that means, who are you prioritizing here? Why are you not advocating for this child and saying, "Hey," because I'd be if one of our kids, if someone's like hurt, I'd be like,
don't care
"Hey,
who it is.
I'd be like, you're hurting my kid. Stop doing it." Not,
Yeah,
"Hey,
and this is why
I have
you're
a-
hurting
yeah,
my
I have an
kid."
answer for
Right.
you, but you're not going to get it." It's the power dynamic is weird and doesn't make any sense, and I don't think that you withholding that information from us, which would help and benefit everything moving forward. All you got to do is communicate and just
Right.
say, "Hey, this is what's going on." It would eliminate all this. So I'm confused on why that's not happening, and I just feel like you have the opportunity to advocate for that child. So why are you not doing that? I feel like
well, and we want you to do that.
Yeah,
we
like-
want you to advocate for her.
and also, I feel like you agreed on this open adoption. You agreed on all these things, and so
You agreed on it being filmed. You agreed to show up on reunions. You
I just
agreed-
rewatched your 16 and Pregnant the other day, like in preparation of this, and I remember, God, right after you gave birth, she gave you like the bracelets.
Yeah.
yeah.
And she's like, "I'll never take it off."
Yep.
And so, like, what did she do with that? Like, where's all that? You know,
I don't know.
I still have mine.
Yeah.
It mostly sits in my jewelry box because I have lost it a few times being a kid, so
Mm-hmm.
that stays. But yeah, things like that. When it's beneficial for them to exploit Carly and to post.
what do you mean by that?
I mean,
That
as
means
far
like
as,
they allow we asked, "Can we post pictures?" And they said only the back of her head.
Right,
If you can't see her face, we're fine with it.
right.
So that's what we did. And I think people get really confused about they keep saying, "Oh, well, you keep breaking the boundaries with Brandon and Teresa. You keep disrespecting what their wishes are." And it's
Yeah.
like, well, it happened one time where when we were 17, 18 years old,
in the way beginning.
that I posted a picture or video or something. I can't remember what it was, and then we had a conversation. It was filmed. You were pregnant
Yes.
with Nova.
We had
We
that.
hashed it all out, and
we agreed from that moment forward, like we won't post any more pictures.
any unapproved.
Yeah, any unapproved
Yeah.
photos.
Right.
And then, that's when you fast forward a few years because Nova was born, and that was the other visit where they got to meet for the first time. And Teresa said, I sent pictures, like, can I post this one and this one? And she's like, as long as you don't see her face, I'm fine with it. Just like how they've done for MTV when they cover some of our visits, like
just the back of her head.
Just the back of her head,
yeah.
or sometimes they've used, like, clips of her voice, but they kind of auto-tune it, so you can't really
tell.
Yeah, like, tell what her voice sounds like and stuff. So what I mean as far as, like, they've kind of exploited their situation too, is those things. Like, people want to put all the blame on us, like, you're on a reality TV show and they didn't sign up for this. It's like,
well, they did sign up for that. I will defend you guys with that. I will defend that.
And they also agreed on the whole thing about, MTV, you can show the back of her head, and we're going to get compensated for it, and
only
all that.
If you compensate us.
And
if you don't compensate us, then you're not allowed to use these pictures on TV.
And so I guess
they financially benefited from this as well.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, hugely. Which is why I feel that it's hypocritical, and I don't understand your moral. If it's a really moral standpoint that you're taking, it doesn't.
I would totally get it.
Yeah, but it's not, because you literally went on the magazine when she was 5 and put her face out there and
all over the cover of the
and that was
magazine,
fine, and that was okay. And I really wish we had that article, because in that article, that magazine, it says we are so blessed with the open adoption. We love that we can have contact with them. We love it for our kids, and we're going to continue to do all that.
You know how beneficial it is for the adoptee.
And
things
so,
like that.
and things like that. And then, fast forward when we would post only approved pics, like she said, and then she got upset because we posted this last visit we had.
I don't know if you've seen it.
When was the last one?
It was 2 years ago. Like 2 years ago.
That's the last time you saw her?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I posted a picture on my Instagram. It was like all of us walking. And it
Yes,
was all the back of us.
I did see that.
And then Tyler posted one where it was him, Carly, and Nova, and it was the back of them. And then they called us and had a conversation. And the only reason why they were upset, because we had the conversation, I said, you've always told me if it's the back of her head, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know? And she goes, well, I guess it was actually Brandon who said, well, I guess we're just kind of upset about it because now MTV can't pay us.
Because it's not an exclusive picture.
Because now it's not an exclusive.
Because we did it first.
That's tea right there.
And see, so I'm saying a lot of people don't know that there's so much backstory to our story.
Well, I appreciate you telling me that, because that changes a few things for me.
Well, I would like to know your opinion, though.
I think that's bullshit, that they can be so greedy in that sense, and then turn around and act like they're this, morally,
righteous
Christian, people of God, which, I mean, I'm sure they are, but at the same time, let's cut the bullshit.
Well, and my thing is that, like, and we have stayed silent on all those little details up until now, because now we literally have nothing to lose.
But then it does but then it does have people looking at us like, oh my gosh, you're breaking boundaries, you're disrespecting, which I understand, because nobody knows the full scope of things. But I'm telling you,
it's not so black and white.
No, this whole journey, and it's not like they get the money and they put it in an account for Carly. No, they're using it to pay for their flights, pay for their hotel, all that stuff, which I get. But when we had that conversation with them on the phone, I said, I wish you would have told me. I said, I would have helped you.
I would have fought for you.
I could help you and say, you ain't getting my picture either that I posted on Instagram unless you help them with their travel.
Right.
Like, I get that, but the way that they would just always, like, if it benefited them, they were going to do it.
And if it made the adoption look really good,
they were going to do it.
It was,
but if
you expressed your feelings or anything that was negative about it, it was like, you can't do that. No, now it's bad. Now we're mad.
Yeah.
It's just a weird power dynamic, and it feels like for so long we had to be silent because, like you said, I don't want to ruffle feathers. I'm not in control, so we have to kind of be like, okay, like, all right, because I don't want you to take her away. So we didn't speak on a lot of things that happened behind closed doors because I want to. That's priority number one, is to be able to see her and have access to her. So now that access is taken away, it's like, well, then, I mean,
you guys don't have anything left to lose at this point.
We don't have anything to lose, and also just the fact of the matter that I truly, in my heart of heart, do not believe that it's Carly that wants this. If you had to pinpoint what it is, what do you think it is? I think it is fear-based. I think
it's parental insecurity.
Yes. I think there's some, like, infertility trauma, because that's hard.
Yeah.
You know, not being able to have your own child, like, that's hard, and it's sad. And I do feel like things have gotten more rocky as she has gotten older. And
she's asking questions.
Yeah.
Yes, she's been asking, and she's asked questions. I've been informed of these questions that she's asking, and I think it scares them, which I get, that when she's older, she might want everything to do with us and nothing with them. And
that's pretty much the main fear that we believe is driving everything.
And the sad thing is, though, is like I have told them even face to face, like Carly could come to me and say like, oh my gosh, my mom and my dad just bugged me because they want me to do this, 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 and this. I said, I will always have your back. And I will always say,
they're your parents. And,
those are your parents and they love you and they're doing those things because they want the best for you. And why I will, if even I can not agree with everything that they do.
I can still advocate for them.
But I will always advocate for them and have their backs because guess what?
They raised her.
Yeah, they raised her.
And I always tell Ty, I'm like, those are the people who cuddled her when she scraped her knee riding her bike. Those are the ones who are cleaning up puke at 2 a.m. off the floor. Like, they love her. And
so they deserve that advocacy, in our opinion.
Yes.
Like, and we will always do that.
And I've told them that face to face. So just the way that it's gotten is sad.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a lot of people didn't see before all this blew up on social media and the aftermath that I was physically going through. It brought up a lot of PTSD for me and for him. And it was a very hard time in my life. And it's just, and now that's why we're going to put the truth out there in ways that we can, because it's not all, there's bad things that each of us have done as people. But
I think we take accountability for those things, and we always try to put ourselves in their shoes, and that's why we did say silent for so long, because it's like I'm trying to understand your perception as her parents, and I get why all these things you have all these fears and stuff, but I just feel like for you as a parent to allow your insecurity and this fear to trump the best interest of her doesn't make sense to me. And that's also not what we wanted and what we agreed upon 15 years ago. Like we always were supposed to be a team and to for her. And so when we ask you, is anything we're doing harming her? Is anything that we're talking about affecting her, or are these visits affecting her?
Carly not wanting to have the visits? Because I would take that, and I would probably cry about it, but I would respect it.
And then none of this would be happening.
Yeah, but they don't even want to talk to you.
No,
so
it's hard to like do anything or mend anything when you just cut off communication. It's weird. It doesn't.
You're
make any
damned
sense.
if you do, and you're damned if you don't in this type of situation.
Yes.
One thing that shook me, Tyler, when we were on our live, is when I asked you like, what are like your regrets about it, and you said you wish you chose different parents for Carly.
Yeah. Kate and Ty Break It Down is sponsored by BetterHelp. Therapy can feel scary. You might not know where to go, how to find a good therapist, what therapist best fits your needs. And in my opinion, therapy should feel accessible, not like a luxury. With online therapy, you get quality care at a price that makes sense and can help you with anything from anxiety to everyday stress. Me personally, I have used BetterHelp, and I really thought it was great because I got to look at multiple therapists for my specific needs and pick one that fit right for me. And if I ended up not feeling like it was a fit, I could then find a new one. And I really liked that part of it. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/breakitdown to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/breakitdown.
Did they reach out to Dawn and say anything about that? Like, did you get any response from that?
Not that I know
that's
of.
what we know of. But I think it's interesting that you bring that up, because if I would have said my only regret is I wish I would have parented, that is literally the same thing as saying I wish she had different parents, because we would be her parents. There's no difference in me saying, and that would have been accepted by TikTok people and everyone. That would have been fine if I would have been like, oh, my biggest regrets, I wish I would have parented her. And everyone would have been like, oh, wow, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But the fact that I said I regret and wish I would have picked different parents for her, everyone freaked out. And it was like,
I mean, I was shook. I didn't know what the hell to say.
What?
I was like, oh.
But
God.
Would you have been shook if I said I wish I would have parented her instead?
No, I would have understood that.
Okay, so there's no difference in those two answers.
So
does that make sense?
Do you take that back and say, I wish that if we knew how far like Teen Mom and everything would have gone, I wish that we would have kept her.
I always say
it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. Because
I think for me personally, I always say to myself, if I could go back, there's things that I would change about my adoption. And I wish there was more things I was educated about when I was making that decision. I still think that I would have chose that option for her because all of the shit that I went through and shit afterwards, my mental health stuff, all of it, you know what I mean? Like, I definitely still would have. I just was not ready at that time, and I didn't, And
also the fact we didn't get to spend a lot of time with them. We only met them one time, and then we met them again when she was giving birth. So it's like, I think for sure
I would change some things, and also we weren't educated on the fact of that they always wanted a closed adoption. I didn't find that out till way later in life,
which we thought was really weird. But we also were like, oh, that's why we don't know their last name for years. That's why we don't know their address. That's why we can't have their phone number for years. Like, because at first we were like,
because I remember she was born, I was like, oh, what's her last name? And they were like, oh, we don't want to tell you.
And so me and Kara,
and I was like, what?
Okay.
And then we get a card on her first birthday, and it had their full name on it, like Brandon and Teresa's full names with their last names.
Yeah.
And I was and it didn't click at first. I'm like, what? What? But we went a year without knowing their last name. We went multiple years without being able to send gifts right to their house. We had to go to Dawn. Yeah, we would go to Dawn, and then Dawn would ship them. They would send stuff to Dawn, and then, but it was even some things came out after she was born, and years down the road. Like, I didn't know they always wanted a closed adoption.
Which that's why I want to bring up to the point that, like, there was 4 people involved in this agreement, and 2 of them were children, and 2 of them were adults. And so when you find out that you originally wanted closed, why did you not just say, we're not a good fit, we want open?
Why didn't Dawn say that?
She mentioned to them, she said, hey, they want open.
Why didn't she tell you guys that?
We don't know.
I don't know.
I think it's because the whole goal was to get a baby. So we're going to
messed up.
It is. And that's why the industry needs to we need adoption reform, period. And all
being
branches
like,
of it, but
being children, like you said, signing these, they're not legally binding in any way. So it's not like I can get a lawyer and fight to see my kid. Like, not like I would do that anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
But we had no legal representation. We had nobody really. When you're 16,
you didn't have guidance either.
Right. No. Yeah, we didn't have any guidance, and I was going off of a verbal saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm giving them my child that I want so badly. Of course they're gonna list. Of course they're gonna do everything they're gonna say they're gonna do. You know."
Well, and also because we're kids and we're trusting the adults around us to try to, like, okay, I'm gonna listen to you. I don't know anything about this, and you do, and you're a grown up, and I'm not, and so we're gonna trust your whole, trust your word, and we're gonna go with that. But it's like when we afterwards, all these things unfolded, and we also felt like I think we were trying to kind of like heal about what's going on, so we didn't push back at all because we're like, we never did this before. I don't know how to navigate all this.
Yeah, you don't even know what the questions to ask. So it's like,
and I also feel like if you were an adult and you knew what you wanted, I think your responsibility should have been, this isn't a good fit for us. We want closed. The fact that you shifted your desires to get the baby is selfish to me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that automatically kind of shows that you weren't really planning on, doing what we agreed upon. In a way. That's what it felt like, at least.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, that's what it felt like when we found all of this out,
And for Dawn to not, tell you guys that is disappointing.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I agree with you.
I can look back on some things, and I see some clips now that I'm older, and I'm like, whoa, that's
She wasn't
weird.
forthcoming with certain things.
Yeah.
It's...
The whole adoption thing is just crazy. Yeah. It's insane. And the fact that this is such a unique story, and it's been shown on TV... And people have...
Every journey is not the same at all. I think he was going to ask a question, though.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, have Brandon and Teresa ever said to you guys that, now that she's getting older, like, does she get recognized? Do they get recognized? Like, is that a problem for them? Because Carly, I'm assuming, I don't know, looks just like your other kids. Mm-hmm. So do they get recognized in public?
They have never said anything to us. I feel like Brandon, I feel like they probably do.
I'm assuming.
And I don't know if it's just the culture of T-Mom fans and them and being in the South respecting them, or maybe people do come up to Brandon and Teresa because they are very recognizable people.
Right. We asked them, though. I remember we asked them at a visit, and they said, no, everyone where we live everything's really great. And so we were like, oh, okay.
So I don't know if it's just a Southern thing and, like, respect. Because, I mean, like you said, there are weird people out there. Like, we have had people message us and be like, oh my gosh, Carly just walked into my coffee shop today, and she was the sweetest little, like, I'm telling you, so people are, weird, but obviously people know who she is. I just think down there, maybe it's like a respect thing because they know Brandon and Teresa
I'm not really
don't
sure.
want to.
Yeah.
But then it's weird but then a part of Brandon and Teresa does want to, so it's confusing.
Yeah, because my whole thing is that, like, and if, like, your moral ground can't be shaky. It's got to be firm. And I feel like their moral ground,
like the line is always moving with them.
Always, and so it's weird. It's like, okay, if your concern is for her safety or her privacy, then why are you agreeing to get paid for a photo of the back of her head? And why? What is the point?
That's crazy to me. That's crazy.
What is
and seeing that stuff that people don't know, so I get why we look like
I understand
we're disobeying or breaking boundaries.
Who asked for money for a picture of the back of the head?
Yeah,
like that's crazy.
So that's what I'm saying. Why is the moral ground keep moving? I don't know. It's just it's one of those things where it's like for years those things would be happening behind closed doors, and obviously we're just kind of like don't want to shake the basket at all. So we're like, oh, we're not going to say anything. But at this point, it's like I think it's only fair that the full scope of the story gets put out there, and for the sake of if Carly is the one not wanting this disconnect, if she's the one that actually wants to have access to communicate with us and they're not allowing that, then this is all I have to advocate for her as her birth parent to get this information out to her.
In addition to the show, though.
Yeah, and I don't know what they're telling her. So it's just a whole thing of like all the years we've tried to like, get them on the phone and they wouldn't, and it was like we would have to wait weeks and then we'd get a response and it's very like, it almost sounds like a prompt, like a scripted response, and we're over here like
an AI kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like we're like, dude, you're not giving a presidential speech. We just want to talk,
right.
And so then we used to kind of like be in denial or in their defense, be like, oh well, they're Southern and we're Midwest, and maybe
I think we were in the fog, like how adoptees go through fog. I swear, I think there's a birth parent fog.
I mean, I never really thought about the birth parent fog.
I swear, I think there is one. Like how you said, you go through life being like, I did the best thing. And no, I'm so happy because look at her life. And I did the best thing for her. And I gave her life. And I gave this couple of kids. And I'm not going to say my feelings because they could take I swear, I think it's a whole fog. And then eventually you get older and you're like, whoa, no.
Wait.
This shit is hard.
Yeah.
It hurts.
And we also deserve to express our feelings. But it's like every time we do, we get shame for it.
Well, it's
like,
weird. Only when we've shared the hurt feelings, we've gotten shame for it. Like if that makes sense. Like every time we've talked about the good, it's always praised and you did such an amazing thing and all of that. But the one time I come out and say it doesn't feel like love, it hurts and I'm sad, people are like, sit down. That's not correct. Look.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Be
they
upset
saved
about
her,
it
and it's like, whoa. I'm just saying.
You're not saying that they didn't save her. Yeah.
I'm just saying that sometimes it hurts.
I wanted to like make sure that you got the full story because on your TikToks, you're really passionate and you're very spicy and like you have a lot of opinions and they're strong opinions, which is cool, great.
Right.
But if you're going to have an opinion, have all the information and then you can cast it. You know what I mean? Which I feel like that's kind of the whole purpose of this. And that's why me and her were like, listen, we want to make this podcast be an open platform for people who don't agree with us, who have opposing viewpoints or whatever. Because I think it's important to have. How boring would it be to conversate with someone who agrees with you all the time? That's stupid.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So, and I feel like it can be constructive and help people. So, I mean, that's the only reason why we're like, yeah.
Yeah, and the whole, like, when I was making the videos and our discussion, I was having a hard time finding, like, what the end goal was for both of you. But you both have made it pretty clear that, like, you don't care what happens with Brandon and Teresa now. So, for that, I mean, might as well just keep, airing it out because bridges have been burned at this point. And there's never going to be, I don't think, a civil relationship again. I think too much has gone down, unfortunately. Do you think that Carly's friends have told her about the show?
I have no idea. She goes to a very, very conservative, private Christian school, and I feel like a lot of their
they're not into like social media or her phone, it's very like monitored, which is a good thing.
It's a good thing, and that's how they live their life. But I'm not really sure. I guess when you say the end goal, my end goal with this is truth, and I feel like
just want to get the truth out.
With the truth, people can form their own opinion better in a more educated opinion, and so it's like the end goal with this is just the truth, and that is the truth for Carly to know these things and to not be put in the dark, which a lot of adoptees are, and they're lied to, and they're told things that aren't true about their bio parents, and And we've, after kind of coming out with it, it's like we've kind of seen that priority
huge wave of adoptees.
Yeah, the priority needs to be the adoptees. Like, they're the ones that are most affected by this choice of adoption.
Yeah.
And they deserve to be, you know, represented, and that we should prioritize their experience and their feelings about being an adoptee. And so that's the whole goal of this, is to advocate for Carly in this only way that we really can. I wish we could just talk to her ourselves and ask these questions, or her parents would be more, you know, transparent with us. But unfortunately, this is like where we're at. Like, what else are we supposed to do? And I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, just wait till she's 18 and stop. And all the adoptees that have reached out and said, do not do that, because all we ever wanted was to know that our bio parents like tried and kept fighting for us. And so I feel like, with that being said, it's like, I don't care about Brandon and Teresa right now. It's about this kid, and she deserves this truth.
Yeah. And like I said, unless they told us and said it's hard for her to see you raising her sisters or whatever it is.
Right.
I understand that and get it. So I would be like, hey, we'll step back and we'll be here if she ever has any questions or wants to.
And we also say, like, we almost in a way wish it was her, because then all this would be not happening.
Yeah.
It'd be, so much easier. Like, all right, cool. We can just forget about this and wait till she's 18
it would be hard,
or whatever.
but I get it.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is we don't know that. And so with those two scenarios that are possibilities, I feel a duty to do this.
And I want to circle back on what you said about, you know, the adoptees community and everybody that were telling you never stop. Do you think that they kind of gassed you up, so to speak, to the point where it made you want to vent even more on social media, which is what ended up getting you blocked?
No, I think it confirms that what we were doing was what we needed to do. Because I feel like that didn't happen until after we said what we said, and, you know, pretty much announced that we were blocked and they closed the option. And then they were like, all right, well, this is what, as an adoptee community, this is what we feel you should, you know, what you should do. And so if anything, it just kind of confirmed for us, all right, here we go. Let's get into this. Because I feel like the reason why we were blocked, it wasn't because Kate expressed her feelings online. It was the fact that her expressing her feelings online put adoption in a bad light and put them in a bad light.
Yeah, it was starting to show. I was starting to show a little bit more of the truth side of our adoption journey with them. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, them being super conservative and in the South, like, they don't want people to look at them in a negative way. Like, for instance, when Teresa told Dawn to tell us, like, don't be sending any more gifts, it's uncalled for. She also told Dawn to tell us that you can't send any more gifts or anything. It's uncalled for and disrespectful, but don't tell anybody that I said that.
So we were like...
So does that make sense? Almost in the fact of, like, you don't want the full truth out, because then it's actually showing how you really are being as an adoptive family. Mm-hmm. And then you're telling me that I can't say that, though, so in turn it's making me look like the bad guy all over again.
Or also
something.
trying to, like, control the whole narrative of our story, which, as you said, what's a sign of manipulation?
Right, that's what I was...
Okay.
Yeah, see, on social media, that's all I saw.
I get it.
Right, which is why I get it. Right, but I feel like...
Which was my whole point of everything. But hearing your side, it does change certain things for me, because there is a lot that we do not see behind the scenes that I guess your goal is to get it out on social media. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. And all the comments that I had in, like, my TikTok and Instagram section, very mixed. I would say it's 50-50. Half people support you, half the people want you to shut up.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and I will say, even though I came in pretty hot and heavy and everything, I'm glad I did, because I was educated by people in the adoptee community. They messaged me. They're like, hey, stop saying giving up for adoption.
Yeah. Right. They tell you about the wording.
Yes.
Or the savior complex and the gifting thing they hate.
Yes. They were like, say placed for adoption. Yeah. And this is why, because, you know, and they explained it to me, and I'm open to learning about that stuff, because I've never had to think about that, because I wasn't adopted, and I've never given a child or placed a child up for adoption. See? Okay. But I'm learning.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm glad I did, because I'm, you know, and I've made friends with people on social media and everything. So it has been beneficial.
Yeah. No, and I'm glad you did too, because I think it brought the discussion even further, you know, and more just education about it and different sides of it and things like that.
Which is kind of the whole point of us doing this. It's like, let's get the conversation going. Like you said, came in hot and heavy. You know, now it's getting this community to be, hey, this is what we like, this is what's respectful for us and whatever, and then you learn, and it's like, you take accountability, and here I am, and you're learning, and it's great, and that's the whole point of
and
all
we
this.
can take accountability for what we did wrong and own it, and I think, too, like, through this whole journey and everything, now, and it's still about Carly, but I think it's also shifted, and it's made me learn even more as a birth mom. I've just been it's just shifted for me in the sense of just listening to adoptees and all of their stories and what they wish their birth parents would have done, what they wish their adoptive parents would have done. And so it's more or less like a lot of them feel silenced. They feel like they have to protect their adoptive parents' feelings. They feel like their stories are always told for them when it's their story to tell. And so now it's kind of shifted where it's like they need to have a voice. Because I feel if you're hearing it from the mouths of the people that are the most affected by it, maybe there can be change. Maybe there's
better understanding.
Maybe there can be some things that are reformed with adoption that only benefits the child who's the most affected by it all. So it's kind of shifted now. It's like, and that still in turn will help Carly in the future because she will see us advocating for people who are just like her to have a voice. And yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much the whole main goal of all this. It's not to, try to get sympathy from people. It's not to try to, control and recruit people to be on our side. Like I said, we invited you because you have opposing viewpoints. I want to hear.
We love that stuff.
Like, I love the criticism. Let's hear it. Let's get into it.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and I think it's just a good way. The only way, really, we have. Or I wish we could just talk to them and call her ourselves, but we can't. So here we are. I mean, there's no other way to get the voices heard. And
since we're not allowed to call them or text them or send gifts anymore either. The reason why we are still talking about it and filming about it for our show and everything too is because, she's 15 years old. What's going to happen when she wakes up on Christmas and her brother, who's also adopted, is opening all these gifts from his birth family? And she's sitting there with nothing from us.
For the first time in 15 years.
For her birthdays and Christmas, Easter, stuff like that. And
how are they going to explain that?
So Brandon and Teresa are still in communication with her brother's birth mom.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I know that you said in the beginning that...
Yeah, she's very much like them, Lo, as far as, like, being conservative Christian and, like, like that kind of stuff.
Never ask questions or...
But she's not blocked from Brandon and Teresa.
No. And I feel like, in a sense, she would always come to me and ask if we're going to give visits, things like that, because she knew, like, okay, we'll ask the question. She'll ask
She'll be like, hey, will you ask them?
But I think that's one of my fears is, like, is Carly sitting there wondering, like, wow, after 15 years, 16 years, I'm getting nothing, and why? Why am I not getting anything? And are they telling her the truth of it all? Are they telling her that they are the ones that said you can't send gifts anymore?
Yeah,
are you the one? Are you telling her all of these things, And so that's why I feel so passionate about it because, like you said, her friends. What if her friends come across something and they say, look, they're still trying? Because she's going to talk to her peers more than she is going to be, like, her parents. Her friends probably know on a deeper level what she feels and wants,
I'm sure, yeah.
And so that's a thing. Like, I don't want her sitting there thinking, like, wow, after 15 years, they just stopped and they folded and they listened and didn't try. So.
Right. And I think it's honestly one thing that Brandon and Teresa are going to have to answer.
They will.
And I think the difference between me and Kate and Brandon and Teresa is that I'm an open book. I have nothing to hide. I have no shame. And so when she comes to me and asks these questions, I'll be honest. And hopefully you're doing the same thing. So when she does wake up on Christmas morning and for the first time in 15 years not have a present from us, I hope you're explaining it to her. I hope you're, in the right way and
not saying, "Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe they just didn't. Maybe they skipped you this year." Like, I hope that's not the case.
I hope not either.
And I hope that they're telling her that we reach out every year for a visit, and they say no next year. And so all those kind of things, I
do. I reach out every year. I would. Well, did.
Yeah. Well,
this will be the first Christmas you're not
sending gifts. Yeah.
Because I think in this regard, it's like, okay, fine. It's funny because people are like, we respect them. Okay, I respect them. No, I won't send gifts.
But who's that harming?
But who's that harming? I'm making sure Brandon and Teresa are good. Mm-hmm. But what about Carly, who's not going to have a present for the first?
Especially when adoption's supposed to be centered around the adoptee. Yeah,
right.
So
yeah. And it's not legally binding either, so it's not like there's anything that you could even do. Your hands are kind of tied in that sense, where it's like. Mm-hmm.
And I noticed a lot of people saying that, get a lawyer, and I'm like, you guys.
You can't do anything.
Adoption is not legally binding.
Which honestly, doesn't that kind of prove the point of the intention of doing this, because people still like, well, just get a lawyer. It's like, you guys don't even know how adoption works. Like, there's nothing legally binding at all. It's a verbal agreement with this adoption agency, and that's it. And so, and I think it's interesting because people will bring up the contract that we signed at 16 that said like the first 5 years or something like that. But does precedence not matter? I know you said for the first 5 years, but you continued to have this pattern in ritual
until the age of 14.
and tradition. And so it's like people are like, well, go back to the contract. It's like, what, guys? They're the ones that didn't. It changed. It changed.
Yeah, they
and
changed
which
that.
we always say we're really thankful that the fact that it's a double-edged sword, right? Like we're glad that you wanted closed and you chose to kind of vulnerably open it up more than you ever wanted to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it just doesn't make any sense that now you take it away without really a good enough reason.
Well, and now the fact of the matter, too, of Carly being 14, it's not like she doesn't remember all those memories.
Right.
You
And
know?
she's FaceTime our kids, and they talk. So it's like, you can't just cut it all off and pretend nothing happened.
I watched an episode recently where they said it would have to be really bad to cut you both off.
Yeah.
But they're not giving you a reason as to what it is.
Yeah, we were literally left in the dark.
And that's funny. Oh, you're talking about the clip that we had.
When we had the conversation.
Yes.
I think it's really interesting to bring that up because we don't watch the show. We don't really
Some stuff's
care
too
to.
hard for me.
Yeah.
But I have gotten clips from that. People have sent it to me.
Yeah, it's
and
circulated.
I think if you pay attention to her demeanor in her
she's spicy.
in her delivery,
She is, yes.
in her respect or empathy, it's like it's that is what we have dealt with the last 15 years. Is it kind of like when I'm expressing a vulnerability, you're like like it's like a you know what I mean?
Yeah,
no,
it's
it
how
comes
it is.
across really like
Yeah.
Like, our feelings don't matter. That's what it's felt like for 14 years almost.
It's very, she comes across very passive aggressive at certain points.
She can be
very
yeah,
bless your heart.
Yeah,
kind
she's
of
spicy
thing, you know.
and yeah. So,
but she doesn't like when I don't think she wants to be kind of painted in that light. So, so I guess we're the ones that get in trouble for that. And
I mean, you're an easier target because you guys are on national television.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
But
yeah.
but I also feel like what a missed opportunity. You're an adoptive parent. You could have really helped the community in adoption.
Yeah.
You could have really been a voice for adoptive parents. You could have taken this opportunity and really just put a different light on it. But you didn't, and you're okay with it sometimes and
They
not
really
okay with
could've.
it other times, and it's just
It's inconsistent. Like,
so then it's like
inconsistent.
wishy-washy. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, whoa, but you were fine with it last year, but okay,
now
you're
we're in
not,
trouble, and now
you know.
and we were able to say the word sisters for years, and now we're not allowed to say that word because
Yeah.
you don't like it, and it's just so
like you
weird.
said, there's way more, and I'm sure they have a whole nother side too.
right.
And I would be down to hear it
Yeah. And I
privately and have a conversation, like I would.
Yeah, and I asked you, Tyler, about like your OnlyFans. Like, is that the thing that like really did it for them? They're like, oh no, we can't have this
Well, I
because
think
she's tattooed on you.
Yeah, I think
her
it's-
name.
I think it's interesting too because all this stuff happened so much. Not the considering the closing it completely, but she's had issues before that ever happened.
Right.
So was that the cherry on top? I have no idea. I don't know. I
And you
really
said that
don't
you had
know.
asked her on the live. Like, how did? Please tell me how that conversation went.
On the live. What do you mean?
Yeah, I was like, was the OnlyFans that did it? And you're like, I've asked. Like, who did you ask? Because I would love to hear that conversation.
Well,
did
no,
you ask
I-
Brandon and Teresa? Like, did you see my?
Well,
OnlyFans?
no. I asked Dawn. I was like, "Is anything that I've done online? If anything,
Okay.
any new things that I've done? Like, I didn't outright say
Didn't
it,
get
but
into the
yeah,
nitty-gritty,
yeah.
but I
But
mean,
I was like,
Yeah.
If she would have told Dawn that would have, triggered Dawn's brain. Like, oh yeah, this.
Yeah.
But,
but no, and honestly,
and we shut it down.
I
just
shut
in
it
case.
down. I said, Justin, because that's a good point. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
We live a very, very different lifestyle than they do. And I think that's okay to have different morals and ethics and what's good and what's not. And so even if that was the case, fine, take it down. We took it down.
Yeah.
Shut it down.
Yeah.
I
No
can
big deal.
respect that.
And I did. You got a lot of backlash for your OnlyFans because you guys gave Farrah a bunch of crap about being doing what she did.
And Tyler
But what
did. He
people
apologized.
yes, you did. And I think a lot of people forget that because I went back and rewatched, and you guys admitted that you were wrong for that.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I've done what I
appreciate that.
could in that
Especially like
regard, I
being
feel
parents
like.
now, too,
Right.
of daughters and stuff like that. Like, obviously, would I want them going and doing porn or but no, if they want to take spicy photos or they feel really good about themselves, then they want. With our girls, we talk about body positivity
all the time.
Sexual, like talking about sex and stuff like that shouldn't be looked down upon, like, because it's a natural thing, you know? So there are certain things, where it's like, we did give her a hard time,
but I also,
but you acknowledge you're wrong,
and also, I think, is it not safe that things change? Opinions change.
People evolve,
people
things evolve.
Things that were taboo 10 years ago are not taboo now. We have more information on it, and so I think people should not be so concrete, like, oh my God, it's like, no, wait, we are allowed to shift. Our values are allowed to shift and change and move with new information and new data, and that's what's happening. So I feel like all I can do is say, I'm sorry for the way that she was treated.
Yeah.
Do I feel she's very not a nice person?
Right. You can dislike her for a couple other things.
Yeah.
And I think people get it confused that that's why she was fired, and it wasn't. She used Teen Mom in the title. It was a whole produced film versus a paid paywall 18 and older website, which is blocked by, so there's a difference. I'm not saying that like that justifies anything.
Should she have gotten a bunch of hate for it? I mean, no. I mean, there's porn stars, there's sex workers.
Well, it's because she said it was a home video.
And it wasn't.
That was our production.
Like, me and Ty used to always say, like, don't lie, just be truthful about it.
I don't care.
I did it.
Yeah.
I'm on Teen Mom. I want to capitalize on my shit, and this is how I did it.
I'm like, girl, yes.
Yeah, I want to follow
Get it, girl.
Kim K's thing, and you did that. It's fine. I think the approach was really weird because you're like trying to pretend it's just.
But there is a little bit of that where it's like I would apologize to Farrah and tell her that, I
don't think
that
she did hear it, but
no, maybe not. But but we do.
She might hear that now.
Yeah, she might.
Maybe I don't know. I'm not really sure, but I guess that's all I can do, right?
Right.
Take accountability. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, we took the OnlyFans down.
Just in case if that was a thing.
If that was what it was.
And I think it's really clear though. Do I agree that is not morally correct? It's like, no, we have freedom, and everyone does.
According to them, though, because they're super, super religious,
right? But I think it's one of those things where it's like we're allowed to live different lives and have different religious beliefs.
And then it brings up the question too, like, so just if this was the case, it's like you have people that work at strip clubs and they're strippers and they dance and they show their tits, and some can be fully nude,
There's
so
underwear models on billboards,
right? But like
Times Square,
are strippers not allowed to have children, or does that hurt their children? I don't know. Calvin Klein models and their underwear, are they not allowed to have children? So it's a hard thing to balance. But that's why we just said, well, we'll take it down if that's their reasoning. That we don't know if it is or not,
just in case. Do we think we're morally wrong? No, not really. I think it's empowering and it's freedom, and that's what it is. And I think. Anyone, Pamela Anderson, she's allowed to have kids. Just because she did her thing doesn't mean she's not allowed to be a parent. And I feel like the backlash is like, you have children. It's like, well, yeah, and how do you get children? You have sex.
Yeah.
And how do you and eventually those children are going to be adults and do the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
And what's the difference between a model on a billboard in Times Square or a bathing suit guy in a bathing suit at the beach? Like your children's. So it's like I think it brings up an interesting topic.
Yeah, I think that's the only reason why you got backlash was because of what you guys said to Farrah. But like you said, you guys people need to rewatch the episodes because I think all of you, Macy included, acknowledge you were wrong for that.
For sure.
So,
I mean, it's all we can do, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's all I can do. I can't.
So I mean, we're very accountable. I can say, oh, shit, that wasn't really good, and I'm sorry.
And my morals, they have changed. They shifted.
My beliefs have changed.
Yeah, I have more understanding or whatever the case is. Yeah, I mean, so this whole thing is just messy.
It is.
And it's gotten to a point where it's like I only have control of what I have control of, which is us sharing our story. And so that's what we're going to do. And I feel like if people are going to go online and have strong opinions, I want you to have all the information. And so that's the whole goal. I mean, it's not our job to protect Brandon and Teresa. And I think people even kind of deem that as controversial, but when you know their operation and how they've handled this for the 15 years, it's like it's hypocritical to think that they're we're not protecting them. They're not even doing the things that they said publicly.
They would do.
Yeah, so it's just the whole thing is it's just messy. It's messy.
It's not so pretty behind the scenes and everything.
Yeah,
which is why I'm glad that we had this conversation and everything because we don't know the full story until we ask the questions from people directly. Because
and that's why I thought it was important to talk to you because I mean it's just important for people to know. There's two sides to every story.
Yeah, and you said you're the child of an addict. Mm-hmm. You were an addict yourself. We talked about this on Instagram, which I commend your sobriety. I think it's amazing and great. You got me Googling like how do I become a But so I think that's really great. And But I wondered, I'm like, I wonder if that is why your opinion was so strong about, they're manipulating for sympathy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it's kind of interesting because I wonder if you are almost saying that because you've done that.
You spot it, you got it.
Spot
it, you got it.
You've done that
it.
as an addict.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I've never been an addict.
Yep.
But
you have parents that have taught you certain behaviors that you've inherited, whether, you guys are aware of it or not. You guys, by the way, you guys are not your parents. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, I was going to say,
You are not your parents. But, I mean, when you're the child of an addict, like, they teach you
Oh
things.
yeah, I mean, I would be lying if I say that the way that my mother was growing up didn't affect me in negative ways. It has,
Yeah.
and I've had to do lots of therapies to rewrite those ways. You
Yep.
know, mine's more or less like social monitoring and creating controlling emotions when I walk into a room of other people, and so I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but I get your perception. I just
Yes,
feel like,
perception.
that's why I asked about the whole thing of where's the line of me sharing my story versus now manipulating for sympathy. This is kind of a,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, so
So-
I don't know. After all of that, I don't really know what your updated version of thinking is or not. If we changed anything, if we brought awareness,
It wasn't the goal.
Not that it was the goal.
I want to
Yeah,
make sure that's not.
So I'll tell
it
you
wasn't
what,
the goal.
and be upfront, honest, real.
I'll be upfront and honest.
Okay.
I still think that venting is not a great idea just because of the negativity that it attracts.
Okay.
But at the same time, Brandon and Teresa's hands are not clean.
Yeah.
So I think that there is blame on both sides. I think that it's messy. It's not black and white. This whole thing is gray. And I don't think there's a right or wrong way to go about this because I feel like it's very unprecedented.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever had an adoption story on national TV in this way.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's continued on 15, or so years later. So I feel like there's no roadmap for you guys to go off of.
Yeah.
There's nobody that has walked in your shoes before. This is a very unique situation.
Yeah.
So I don't know, although, I mean, we judge it on TV and everything, but I don't know if I can judge completely because I don't know all the facts about things that have happened behind
Yeah.
the scenes. But I'm glad that you guys share that because when you reveal certain things about Brandon and Teresa and how, they're not doing their end of the bargain, it does make me look at them differently. I'm like, yeah, I would probably vent too.
Yeah, I was gonna say too because I wonder if now with that understanding, do you think that some of your opinions on other reality TV or anyone that you talk about pop culture wise, you should try to just as much as you can try to like dig into that. Try
That
to,
makes you what you do even better. Too.
Yeah, it makes
Right.
you better at your job, or because your job is just to.
Yeah, when I do deep dives, I try to show all sides. I did one
good.
on the Chrisley family. I'm very interested to meet Lindsay because I've talked about her on there too. But I do try to show all sides because there are all different sides to
Yeah.
Right.
different stories.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Different thing.
So now that Carly is about the same age of being 16, like you were when you got pregnant and the start of the show, what would you guys say to two 16-year-olds that were going through the same thing and thinking about placing their child up for adoption?
I think my biggest thing would be, you have to. I'm going to help you with research.
Yeah,
We're going to research this together because I'm an adult and I can help you.
and you deserve resources.
Yep. I think also I would give the advice of like, really get to know these people. Don't only just meet them once. Find somebody who wants what you want. If you want an open adoption, let's look at all the couples that want really open adoption. Meet with them more than once. Let's go to barbecues. You just talk and talk and talk and talk as much as you want. I would do my whole pregnancy. As soon as I knew I was going to make that decision, I would have continuously done that.
But I also feel like making the decision of placing your child for adoption, I think it should be like really talked about that. That should be the last resort. The first resort you should have is support, resources, being a young child in a crisis situation, and adoption should be the very last thing that you look at as an option. There are options, there are grants, there are foundations that can help you. I feel like
We were never told any of that.
Yeah, it was pretty much. We were pretty much told that the best thing for you to do is let go and do this sacrifice for her. And
Yeah.
so, of course, we were like, okay. And we have, like I said, we have adults telling us this thing. So we don't have adults saying, hey, there's someone who will help you get an apartment, and there's someone who will get you a crib, and
this company will help you get a job and get on your feet.
Yeah, like
this
that wasn't.
That was for you. It was like it was this or nothing.
Yeah, it was this or go home to drug addicts
and be stuck in chaos.
And be stuck.
That's pretty much what it was. It was like you take her home and you're struggling, or you place her and she's going to be completely great.
And there were times when we were going through the adoption where it was told to us, like, well, what's best for her? Are you going to take her back to your bedroom and have a crib in your bedroom with your alcoholic and drug addict parents? And we were like, oh my God. So in a way, it's like it makes you feel like not doing the adoption is wrong, and you're a bad parent already, and you haven't even birthed this child out in the world yet. So I feel
I feel like kids who find themselves in situations, but also you can find yourself in this type of situation at any age. It's not, it doesn't just happen, to young kids. I feel like being educated about all of the resources that there are in the world that can help you if you decide to parent. Also, if say you choose that adoption is what you want to do, get legal representation for yourself.
And learn about adoption trauma.
Yes.
And what that means, because all adoptees inevitably face it.
And we were never told any of that. I wasn't told the statistics that my adopted child would be way higher likelihood of drug addiction, of suicide, of mental health issues.
Especially because, addiction runs in your family too. So
and mental health
higher.
does. Yeah, mental health does. So now she's even double dosed, triple dosed, because then she's placed, like, they don't tell you none of these things.
Right.
So I think that's why when I say there needs to be some sort of reform and there needs to be deeper things talked about, because then we can make the best decisions for our children.
Right. You needed an advocate.
100%.
Watching your 16 and pregnant, I was like, my God.
100%.
Like, you needed somebody truly on your side that was there for you.
His mom most recently just, like, got really upset. Like, we're super close with Ty's mom. And she got super upset, and she just apologized, and she said, I am so sorry that I wasn't educated enough to not know that adoption wasn't the only choice either. And she you can tell she's regretful about that.
I can see it, in her face and stuff.
Which and it sucks because we're all years out of it, and now we know.
Yeah,
it's almost like if we would have known, not what we know, And so you're right, we did. We deserved to have adults, looking out for me after we gave.
And we never even watched it, so we can't. I don't even know.
You never watched it?
The 16 and pregnant. We only watched it once when we were young.
Oh, I can understand.
And we never watched it ever again.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine what it's like. After knowing everything now and going back and watching it, it's probably a whole different...
It's hard. It's hard to watch. It's hard for me to watch.
Well, because now you're Team I'm historian, so now you're going back and, it's like...
It's wild to see.
Yeah, it gives a different
And the fact of the matter, she was like, literally after placing Carly for adoption, everybody saw what I was going back home to. All the adults in my life saw what I was going back home to.
And you were a child.
There needs to be more resources for the birth parents and education. Because I was just sent back into the chaos, and actually it was 10 times worse than what it was.
10 times worse, because now they're all attacking you, and it's like, it was horrible.
So I think that's what I would I would love to just talk and educate them and give them all the facts, and they'd probably think I'm annoying after a while, because I'd be like, this
read this book.
But
good for you for using your platform for the good, because people need it.
Yeah, trying.
Well, hopefully now that you have a platform too, so hopefully now with new information, you go on your platform and say, "Hey, adopt these. Like, this is or
I learned more, or I heard more, and this is what I still believe, and this is what I changed opinions.
Yeah, the whole goal is not to persuade you differently.
No,
I get it.
I just wanted to hear opposing viewpoints, and then obviously the information.
I think we both were able to see where each other were coming from.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And great. So, I just really thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
No, this is great for you. You're about to blow up now, motherfucker.
But I think even in the future, I think there's other conversations we could have about different things too.
Yeah. Addiction. I
really want to have you back on.
That.
I would love that.
I would love to have you back on and kind of dive deeper into that.
We could even do it via like a Zoom type of app and stuff too from home.
Yeah.
And I just really appreciate your opinions and your thoughts and your inputs on the situation. And just thank you for coming.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on Kate and Ty Break It Down.
Thank you.
And remember to stay curious.
Yeah. And where can everybody, where can they find you? What's your...
Yes.
Jordy Cray on all social media.
Okay. Awesome. Perfect.
Awesome. Great.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Jordy.
It's great.